House Speaker Mike Johnson has now tapped two allies of former President Trump to serve on the all-important House Intelligence Committee. It's a controversial move, and Punchbowl News reports that Speaker Johnson didn't even tell the committee chair he was appointing them.
It's Ken Harbaugh with Against All Enemies on the MeidasTouch Network. Let me explain what's going on. There was probably a good reason why Speaker Johnson did not notify the leadership of the House Intelligence Committee, even fellow Republicans, that he was naming two new members. That's because these new members are grossly unqualified for those roles. Both are massive security risks to the nation. But that doesn't matter to today's GOP as long as they are loyal to Donald Trump. These appointments were almost certainly made at the urging of the former president so that he could have allies on one of Congress's most important committees. Here's Nicole Wallace with some additional context.
In an effort to please Donald Trump and to hang on to his speakership, Speaker Mike Johnson has appointed Scott Perry and Ronnie Jackson to the House Select Committee on Intelligence. Perry, you may remember, had his phone seized by the FBI as part of an investigation into his role as one of the chief architects in Congress of the scheme to overturn Donald Trump's defeat in the 2020 presidential election. Perry was the first to propagate the empirically proven insane Italygate conspiracy theory. He also, for good measure, defied a subpoena from the January 6th Select Committee. Then there's Ronnie. Ronnie Jackson's his name. He was demoted as a rear admiral in the United States Navy. He was someone who the Oath Keepers were seeking to protect during the insurrection on January 6th, because the Oath Keepers believed he, Ronnie Jackson, had, in the words of an Oath Keeper, quote, critical data to protect, end quote. So now the one committee on the House side that receives the most sensitive national security information gathered from allies all over the world, information used to inform policymakers who want to protect our country's national security, our men and women in the military, our covert operatives, our allies. That committee now has those two new members on it who have proven that they will put what's good for Donald Trump over what's good for this country, including on the day of the deadly insurrection.
At the moment this story was breaking, I was actually interviewing former FBI agent Peter Strzok, who served as the Bureau's Deputy Assistant Director of Counterintelligence. We were talking about how Russia creates disinformation campaigns to disrupt our democracy and specifically targets lawmakers in the West. Here's a clip from that conversation. I just got this news alert. I'm not saying it's directly connected to Russian disinfo targeted at far-right members of Congress, but did you hear that Speaker Johnson just named Ronnie Jackson, Republican from Texas, to the House Intel Committee as a counterintelligence guy? How does that sit with you?
Yeah, well, I mean, too, and there was another. I'm trying to remember another guy who had the guy who had his phone seized by the FBI for January 6th insurrection. But look, Congressman Ronnie Jackson, you know, commonly known, I guess his nickname was the Candyman, right, when he was running the White House Medical Office, was not many people aware of this because he still advertises himself as an admiral, was demoted from admiral, I think, to captain by the Navy because of a series of complaints about his leadership style, because of his alleged substance abuse. It was so egregious that DOD said, you know what, we're going to change. We're going to, reduce you in rank for this egregious behavior. So that person, who is also, again, running around, trumpeting, everything that seems to be coming out of the Trump campaign's mouth, is now on the Intel Committee. And it is so irresponsible, because these are voluntary appointments, right? This is something that the Speaker of the House does. It is not mandated that any particular member gets selected to the Intel committees. And in both, historically, on both the House and the Senate side, the Intel committees were very serious. You had firebrands and they had people who were extremists, but you'd find committee assignments for them where they couldn't do a lot of damage and they could still make a lot of noise and everybody was happy. You don't go putting people like this on the Intel committees. And it just goes to show that either, again, Trump was pushing for this, the Freedom Caucus was pushing for this. I don't think Mike Johnson either has the understanding or the power to push back against it. And so as a result, I think two things are going to happen. One, the intel community already kind of scales back what they share with Congress. I mean, they understand that Congress is, by sort of design, a leaky place. So you're going to have less sharing with Congress, which is going to lead to less effective oversight. And the intelligence community needs oversight. Not only oversight, they need funding, they need authorities, they need laws. And when you break down that relationship, again, you're jeopardizing national security. So congratulations, Mike Johnson. You've hurt national security yet again. But it's absurd. Ronnie Jackson has no place going near Congress, let alone the House Intel Committee.
Well, he couldn't get probably a basic security clearance. He definitely couldn't get a security clearance, much less TSSCI or the access he'll have as a member of the House Intel Committee. This episode of Burn the Boats is brought to you by Manukora honey. This miracle of nature just fell into my lap at the perfect time. It's a rare super honey that is 100% natural and has some unique properties. Manukora makes Manuka honey, a single origin honey that comes from New Zealand, where the bees only feed on the nectar of the Manuka tea tree, making honey that is pure, rich, complex, with a creamier texture that is on a completely different level from the normal honey you find at the supermarket. You can use it as you would any other honey, but what puts the super in Manuka honey is it's rich in oxidants and prebiotics, 3 times more compared to regular honey. On top of that, it contains an antibacterial compound called MGO that can be found exclusively in Manuka honey. The bottom line is that these nutrients support your optimal immune and digestive health, and it's delicious. Manukora sent me a jar and squeeze bottle of their MGO 850 Plus Manuka honey, their best-selling honey. The 850 Plus honey has a creamy caramel texture that is unlike anything I've ever tried. Just grab a spoonful out of the jar and I put it in my favorite beverage, or I squeeze some out on toast or oatmeal. It's delicious. Manukora is savory, delicious, and truly the best honey I've had. If you head to manukora.com/boats, you can get $25 off their starter kit, which comes with the MGO 850 Plus Manuka honey, a free travel pack of honey sticks, a free wooden spoon, and also a free guidebook. It's the perfect gift for a loved one, no matter the season. I love the jar and squeeze bottle, but the extra pack of compostable honey sticks is perfect for whenever you're on the go. You can bring them with you when you're traveling or need a quick snack running errands, and they are the perfect energy boost if you're out for a run or at the gym, especially this time of year. That's manukora.com/boats to get $25 off your starter kit. This is just the ultimate honey. Indulge and try some honey with superpowers from Manukora. Not surprisingly, the reaction in Washington to these appointments has been shock and outrage by those who care about protecting our national secrets, and praise from those who only care about protecting Donald Trump.
So, Julie, what's been the reaction to these appointments?
Well, the reaction has been mixed, Chris. If you look at allies of the former president, they've been posting on X praising the move. You have to look no further than, for example, to Congressman Matt Gaetz of Florida's message. He said, quote, that President Trump now has major reinforcements for his plan to obliterate the deep state. You also heard from Lauren Boebert, others who are praising Johnson, the speaker, for making this move unilaterally. Just to set the scene here a little bit, this committee, the Intelligence Committee, has worked very, very hard this Congress to rebuild its bipartisan stature. Now with these appointments of Scott Perry, who's the former House Freedom Caucus chair, and Ronnie Jackson, who served in the Trump White House as his medical doctor, this committee is going to skew a lot more to the conservative side of the aisle, and that is exactly what these guys want.
Years ago, as a Navy pilot, I flew intel missions against countries like China, North Korea, and Russia. I cannot tell you how damaging this breach of faith is to place individuals on the House Intelligence Committee who would not have been allowed near my plane, much less given access to the intel we produced. This is a slap in the face to every member of America's intelligence community who puts their country first. But if it wasn't already obvious, that is no longer the priority in Donald Trump's party. I hope you'll check out my full interview with Peter Strzok. It comes out soon as a full episode of Burn the Boats. Thanks for watching, everyone. I have been so humbled by the support of this audience and the speed at which this show has grown. You are why I and the whole team here do this. If you're interested in bonus content, check out my Patreon page. It's free to sign up, and there's an option to donate as well. The link is right there and in the show notes. Thanks again.
Love this video? Make sure you stay up to date on the latest breaking news and all things Midas by signing up to the MeidasTouch newsletter at MeidasTouch.com/newsletter.